So without further ado, I will start the first presentation, which is basically what is 5GASP. So you joined today a webinar promoted by 5GASP, and I would like to introduce you to what is this project about and how you can interact with us. So what is 5GASP? 5GASP is a EU 5G PPP project, part of ICT 41. And what are we doing in our project? We're trying to accelerate SMEs towards the new world of 5G-based network applications, NETAPPS. What we are trying to do is to offer and operate an open and interdomain 5G NFV-based reference ecosystem of 5G experimental facilities. Translating this very quickly, what we do is we provide facilities around Europe, from Portugal to Greece, going through Bristol and Murcia, and also Ljubljana and Bucharest. So across Europe, to enable you to test your applications, your 5G NFV-based applications in reference platforms. So 5GASP platform provides facilities to test and validate NetApps, and it embraces a fully automated and open DevOps-based continuous integration, continuous deployment process for developers. We are targeting developers of application, so we're a software-driven project for 5G. And what we want to do is provide you with means to easily make it ease the process of developing applications for this new architecture, which is 5G. This way you can translate your existing applications and services into NetApps, taking into consideration vertical specific requirements from various verticals, but most important for us, the automotive vertical and the PPDR vertical. And around this process, we want to build a community of practice of developers that develop these types of applications and that can meet around a common place to discuss and share ideas and share knowledge. So the objectives are to accelerate the development, testing, and certification of NetApps. Here, the certification is mostly related to what we can provide through our test beds. Basically, we certify that your application can work in one of our test beds. And we want to create this through a common platform and through the development of DevOps tools and of a certification roadmap. We want to make this as broadly available as possible. Most of our tools will be developed using open source software licenses. We do most of our contributions to existing open source projects so that all can benefit from these advances. We want also to provide state-of-the-art test beds where applications for relevant verticals can be tested and validated in a cost-effective way. This is very important because if you're an SME or a startup, you don't have access to a 5G network to start testing immediately. So we want to make it available for everyone that is starting such platforms. Okay, so during the duration of the project, our test beds will be open for you to start testing while you're still developing your applications and services. We also want to innovate technically by addressing interdomain use cases and security and trust aspects associated with NetApps deployment and operation. NetApps is basically a new concept and technology, and we want to make sure that these aspects are involved from the beginning into the development of your NetApps. We want also to automate the process of testing and validation, lowering the costs associated with testing and certification of NetApps in telecommunication environments. Traditional applications and services for telecommunications are very cost in terms of the amount of work and the time that is spent validating that the application works in the telecom operator environment. And we want to automate this. We want to make the testing and validation as efficient as possible using a DevOps methodology and using automation so that we can lower the costs, and this will open up a broader market. We also want to provide all the community with state-of-the-art tools for test deployment, test automation, continuous integration, and monitoring of our test beds, mainly through open source software tools, as I previously mentioned. One of the big objectives of this first webinar is also to create a practice community where developers can share knowledge about 5G NetApps. So we're starting this webinar series in order to gather people interested in NetApp development so that they can meet through our community portal and create a practice community. What we have in that community portal, we will talk about later on, but it's mostly about providing you with documentation, knowledge, videos of demonstrations, but also a forum where people can put questions in and have members of the community answering those questions. So we want to create a good environment and create a practice community that can outlast 5GASP. We want also to create a business model around the marketplace of NetApps by which all stakeholders can share revenue. Our idea is that after you have tested your application on our platforms, that we can showcase your application in not the marketplace in terms of selling through our platform, but mostly about showcasing to others that your NetApp exists. It can be tested in a good environment, in a 5G environment, which is our test beds, and that they are good to go into production in a new environment where you can actually sell to operators. How do we intend to achieve this? Well, we want to achieve this through DevOps for 5G networks methodology. So we're trying to bring in the DevOps methodology from IT into telecommunication business. We want to do this also using testbeds that provide vertical testing and interdomain aspects in. So we have testbeds spread all over Europe, each testbed targeting different verticals, and all of them will be available to you. We also want to work out a NetApp certification roadmap that can be in the future used to create proper certification of NetApps. And we want to create the community of 5G networks developers that can collaborate in the development and the strengthening of our industry in developing 5G NetApps. Also, we will have the NetApps marketplace that, as I told you before, will be a showcase, a window to all of you that have developed NetApps with us. We're trying to do this through two big portals, one more targeting business aspects, which is the NetApp store, the 5GASP NetApp store, which will have reusable assets such as NetApps, network functions, network services, and a public registry of SMEs, as well as process documentation about how certification can be accomplished. So this is more towards companies that can use our platform to showcase themselves, but also to benefit from existing NetApps services, functions that have been published into our portal. Another aspect is the NetApp community, the 5GASP NetApp community. This is more targeting the developer. We have a forum, we have tutorials and user guides being produced. We have a public repository of experiments, and these experiments will have videos showcasing what can be done. We have also 5GASP documentation about how to use our platform, but also how to use other tools. And we will have news and multimedia content, such as the contents of today's webinar. Of course, we'll have facts and support so that everyone can learn and use our platforms. So two big front-load portals that target outside of the project, targeting SMEs, business aspects, and targeting developers aspects. So if if you are an SME, a developer, you want to go into 5GASP methodology, how does this work? Well, we have a V-shaped methodology where you bring your idea, your existing application, your existing service, and together we can start defining the requirements for VNification. We will talk about what is a VNF today. We will talk about all these aspects related to 5G. But the big starting point is I have my application, my service. How can I make this a NetApp? So from the requirements, from the development and adaptations of your existing code and application, we go into a V-shaped process where you can continuously iterate. So following a DevOps methodology, iterating, validating, testing all the way through until you can onboard and test your NetApp on one of our facilities, in one or more of our facilities, especially because we consider interdomain. After you have done this, you will get testing results. Testing results will provide you with information about how well your application is running. It will provide you with logs about your compliance with 5G requirements, with compliance with what we have defined as methodology towards certification of how good it runs in our platform. And when you get full acceptance or partial acceptance, but configuring towards a state where we can partially certify your NetApp application, it can be published to our marketplace. So you go through our operational portal for testing, and if you get an acceptance testing result that matches the quality that is to be defined, it can be published into our public portal. From that public portal, NetApp use case stakeholders can get information about your NetApp, can ask you for the demonstrations, and can interact with you. So we want to make this a place where people don't only see what products are available, but they also see how mature those products are available, and they get an external voucher of how good they are through our process of certification in our test beds. We call this the 5GASP certification. So inside our project, we also have NetApps and the services that we want to use to showcase all this process, so that you can also learn by example. And our main targets, as I spoke before, are the automotive vertical and the PPDR vertical. We also created the cross-vertical use case, where we merge the two use cases in what we call the cross-V use cases, that includes autonomous vehicle teleoperations and remote driving in a PPDR scenario. So we have various NetApps, and you can see the list of NetApps here in this slide, all in orange. These NetApps are provided by SMEs from all around Europe that are partners in 5GASP. Some of these NetApps will have a license that can enable you to reuse them, creating new scenarios, but we also would like to have new apps involved, and yours can be one of them. In the bottom, you can find the modules that will support all these NetApps in our platforms, such as virtual OBUs or PPDR machine-to-machine modules that can enable the deployment of these NetApps in our testbeds. So just to finish up, because time moves very quickly, this is the consortium of 5GASP. We have project participants Instituto Telecomunicações, which I'm part of. I'm project coordinator. We have University of Patras from Greece, University of Bristol from the UK, the VMware from Bulgaria, Orange Romania, ENTC from Germany, Odins from Spain, Internet Institute from Slovenia, Modular Computing, today Lambda Networks from Greece, YogoCo from France, Bundles Lab from Hungary, DriveU from Israel, and Neobility from Romania. So we have a lot of people. We could, if we had a partner in Austria, we could actually drive from one corner of Europe to the other and have everyone involved. And we want to make this even broader through our community. So our community wants to reach not only our partners, of course, but also all other SMEs that are interested, SMEs, startups that are interested in developing NetApps. Most important aspects today are our official websites and social network presence. So we have the project web page, the community portal, which already has lots of information available there, and a forum that is available through our community portal, but you have here a direct link where you can get support, feedbacks, and ask questions, share information freely. Follow us on our social media for news about future events, and our code that will be publishing on using open source licenses will be available through GitHub in our URL github.com/5GASP. So thank you very much. I think I have now a brief moment for questions. You can put your questions through the chat. That's what's available for. You can find the button for the chat in Zoom.
As we don't have any questions up until now, oh, one is showing up. Diogo, you can take it. How would you provide 5G connectivity to SMEs, PPDR, or NetApps developer?
So what we provide is a remote test bed, and in our remote test beds we have 5G equipment, and through the portal you can upload your software into our 5G equipment. So we will do the test as automated as possible. Okay, various tests can be done through automation. Probably mobility tests cannot be done through automation, but there will be technicians available in each test bed to assist you. But you can deploy and do tests and see how well your NetApp performs on the 5G network, and more importantly, how it interacts with the 5G network services. Okay, so this is part of what will be available in the 5GASP platform. Thank you, Monica, for the question, because I actually cannot read that question. But thank you, Monica. So without further ado, we'll pass over to Marius for the next presentation, so we don't start delaying too much this webinar. Okay, thank you, everyone. We will also be available after the webinar for questions in our forum. Okay.